Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and say hello to WRC Generations as we start our career mode playthrough. Thank you so much to the developers for sending me an early review code. I've been able to get my hands on this game early and start playing it pretty much before most people, and honestly I'm absolutely loving it so far. And one of the main standouts for this series and this game is definitely the career mode. While not too much has changed from previously, it's still very good, very fleshed out, and I absolutely love working my way up through the categories as we try and get in those Rally 1 cars in a good few episodes time. So sit back, strap in and enjoy as we start our WRC Generations career playthrough. So first up, we had to go and pick our category, and obviously we're going to head into the juniors to begin with. We're going to try and progress through them all. So we picked our team and away we pretty much went. As you can see, our season here starts at Rally Sweden. So we let the game hold our hand through a little tutorial to see if anything new had come about. And while there's not too much in terms of the kind of outside activities away from the main rallies, we thought we'd kind of keep them going and test them all out. So up first was a little bit of training, I guess, and we did that nice and easy. Obviously the same as last year where you do the little loop, and we're going to manage to get that a pretty easy gold. To be honest, if you played the previous game, this one's not going to be too bad at all. After our little bit of easy training, it was time to step into something a little bit more powerful, so we jumped in for a manufacturer tryout with the WR2 machines. Now this is again another returning feature and I absolutely love it, especially when you're early game and you're mostly in the slower categories. Whenever you're putting anything a bit faster, it doesn't feel like a little bit faster, it feels like you're essentially in a rocket ship. And at this point in the game I was kind of messing around with my my settings and stuff. I'd not quite got my rig set up, so I am still on control here trying to get the right feeling for it, because the game was a little bit sensitive to begin with and I was kind of starting to nail it down, and again just trying to get this power kind of held down was yeah, a little bit difficult, but we did finally get there with a nice little roll to finish the event. We did manage to succeed in our manufacturer tryout. And then up next, another returning mode, probably my least favorite of the bunch. I was never a fan of these in previous titles either. The extreme conditions event, obviously you are essentially putting an absolutely battered out car in really bad conditions, and yeah, I just couldn't quite get to grips with this one. I think I ended up failing it, to be honest. It was just not very fun at all. But again, if you are a fan of this, you'll probably enjoy it. But me personally, yeah, just especially last year, did not enjoy them, and I don't think they're going to be a go-to pick for me for this one. Then we got something absolutely awesome, the historic rallies. Absolutely love these. They were obviously in the previous one as well, and they're just as good here in WRC Generations. Absolutely love getting put in these old cards. There's plenty of them as well, so this will definitely be one of the kind of side events that I'll definitely jump into as we move up through the categories. Absolutely love classic rally cars. As you can see, we've got one of the Ford Escorts here, the 2-litre version. Absolutely love this car. It felt a little bit weird to begin with. Again, I feel like that's mostly due to me kind of messing around and playing around with my controller sensitivities and such. But yeah, it really wasn't too bad in the end. We did actually fail the event. I couldn't quite get to fully grips with the car, but it felt great. Then it was on to the main event. It's time to do our first rally, and Rally Sweden is obviously up first. So we did our shakedown for those extra tyres and to just get a feel for where our car's at in its default setup, and it didn't feel too bad. Again, I'm just kind of getting used to the game at this point. I haven't got too much confidence in it, but we're in something a little bit less powerful, obviously being the WRC 3 Juniors. So we're going to cross the line here, trying to give it the absolute full beans down here as we get across the line, and we're going to get those extra bonus tyres. Nice little shakedown complete. But then it was time for the main event, the proper rally starting. So we're going to take our countdown and get away on the stage. Now, snow and Rally Sweden has never been a strong point for me in any rally game ever, to be honest, so I was dreading this for an opening kind of stage to my career. It was essentially baptism by fire. So we got underway and I was nice and cautious, just trying not to damage the car, especially too much in these early stages, because that's really going to affect us late on. But those snow verges were just kind of getting in the way pretty much. Really kind of cautious on the opening stage, and then disaster strikes as we go for a nice little spin up the banking and around we go, having to lose a bunch of time there getting the car straight and back up. but we are going to get the car back underway in this early stage 1. Luckily not too much damage done there, no rollovers or anything like that, so we did manage to keep it going. As you can see by the bar on the left, we did manage to start improving our pace towards the later stages of the stage. Now, we did get a few red sectors. That is mostly when I spun out and lost a ton of time, but we have managed to build that one back up. But overall, where was this going to put us by the end of stage 1? Hopefully not too far down the order. There is 6 of us taking part in this stage for the WRC free category, the juniors. And yeah, hopefully we're not going to be too far down. We're going to go up and across the line and finish off our first proper stage of our career mode. Just under 5 minutes. But really, where is that going to put us? Now, overall, it put us 3rd. We didn't pick up any penalties there. We were just a bit off that pace. That spin especially costing us a ton of time and not being able to just quite make it up. So on to stage 2, and we're getting ready to start this one now. Obviously I'm sat in 3rd, only a few seconds. We're still in the early stages of the overall rally, but I wanted this one to be nice and smooth. Again, just trying not to absolutely wreck the car, trying to keep it as clean as possible. We do get to repair the car after this stage, but I didn't want to just go too hard too early and end up with a rollover and, you know, possibly even taking penalties, just trying to get the car repaired, especially with just, you know, losing a ton of time on the stage. If we did that, we kept on going and we kept on pushing, and early stages we were absolutely flying through stage 2, managing to get our time right up there and managing to obviously take a 10-second lead, as you can see. So at this point we are really on it. We're pushing as hard as we can possibly go. However, disaster. We then found out that, you know, the fans, yeah, you can't run them over in this game, so don't even attempt to, because we've got a nice 5-second penalty. So again, now we're just losing time and we need to start pushing a little bit harder. So pushing we did. We were starting to absolutely throw the car over everything and really try and get to the end of this stage with a decent time to get a nice little lead over our competition. But again, where was this one going to put us? We did manage to cross the line in 1st, and at the end of stage 2 there was literally next to nothing in it. Less than a second between myself and 2nd place. We are leading. We obviously do have that 5-second penalty, which we got for trying to run over the fans. Yeah, my bad. Then it was time to get some repairs done on the car and essentially just waste a ton of money, but it was essential. As you can see, I was having some problems trying to get the suspension done, so I left that and decided to repair everything else that we couldn't quite get it down. So again, decided to just, you know, in the end put it on bodywork and try and get the car at least looking nice. So we didn't get the suspension or the turbo fully repaired. Then on to stage 3, away we went on our countdown, and we got a 10-second penalty straight out of the bat because we essentially jumped the start. So yeah, it was just going a bit bad to worse. At this point we've got a 10-second deficit and we're going to have to really begin to push on this stage. Obviously we would have another stage after and we wouldn't have repairs just quite yet. So although I was trying to keep the car, you know, nice and in decent shape, I still had to push really hard. So the deficit was only down to a second by the time we went over the 2nd sector of stage 3. And then our first big accident of the whole rally. Spinning, twirling, and managing to actually keep it on the bridge, which was very surprising. We're going to take a ton of damage there and lose a ton of time trying just desperately to get that car up and started again. And although we did get going, yeah, the car was just not in the best of shape at this point, and we've lost a absolute ton of time. So at this point I'm thinking, you know what, we're just going to have to absolutely go for it. So go for it we did. We're around about 4.5 minutes into the stage. We are damaged. We're coming right to the end. There's not too long to go. And then I decided to absolutely destroy myself yet again with probably the biggest and most wackiest crash I think I've ever done in one of these games. Barrel rolling, you know, launching ourselves in the air like a rocket. And yeah, absolutely messing the car up even more. No repair either. We had to get respawned back on the track. So not only have we got 15 seconds of penalties with this stage, we're also a ton of time back with an absolutely battered out car and probably no way of returning to the top spot at the end of this one. Now we're going to go around the last few corners and finish the stage up. I'm angry, I'm frustrated. I've got an absolutely damaged car. We cannot repair it yet. And I had a bad feeling about the next stage. And that bad feeling is going to be confirmed. So we were last place on that stage, 21 seconds back from first place on that stage. And overall, we are now 14 seconds adrift in P4 overall. Then again, that nice little Sweden notice sign picked up, and yeah, my worst fears were confirmed. It was night stage time with a destroyed car. Now this, yeah, I was massively dreading this. I was not looking forward to it, but I knew I had to literally go, if in doubt, flat out. So it was time to get our first ever night stage of our career underway. Looking absolutely stunning in the snow, by the way. Absolutely really enjoyed this stage. Going flat out with a damaged car at night in the snow on one of my weakest events. Just absolutely pushing it to the limit. I didn't care about the damage at this point. I'd repair it after this one. All we had to do was just survive. So it was straight away out of the gate, pushing to try and get that time down and get ourselves back up that leaderboard in hope that we can possibly salvage a decent result in our first ever career rally. As you can see, we're just throwing it over all the jumps. We're throwing it into the corners as hard as we possibly can. This little Fiesta not knowing what to do with itself, and honestly, I was absolutely loving it. Before long, as we get to sector 3 of the stage, we're 15 seconds up, and then we decided to absolutely bin it and go nice and wide, having to get the car in reverse, not actually taking a penalty there, just as the marshal was obviously just in the way there. It could have quite easily gave us a 5-second penalty. We did manage to get underway, but we'd lost a ton of time yet again. These small little mistakes, I'm going to have to try and, knock them out and get rid of them as we go through the career mode, or else we're going to find ourselves lingering in the lower leagues of WRC. We still had a 10-second lead though, and we're pushing as hard as possible into the final sector of our first ever night stage. Really pushing this Fiesta to limits it really shouldn't be able to go, to be honest, considering the amount of damage and wear on this thing. But we went across the line in just under 5 minutes, and where was that going to put us overall? It put us first in the stage and first overall. So it was time to repair the car, and it was time for the big one. Obviously we can finally repair the car and get as much done as we can. So I was just looking where I really needed to start repairing. So we confirmed all our repairs, and it was time for the power stage. Putting on some new tyres, and this, well, yeah, this was going to be a big one. 25 kilometers this stage, almost jumping the start, or did we? Yes, we did. We jumped the start, and we ended up with another 10-second penalty. So I was absolutely frustrated. I knew I had to push if I wanted to win this rally. I had to really, sort of stretch my legs and extend this lead. And we straight away got a 10-second penalty, and I'm feeling that win slipping away from us after all that work we did at night. The next day, yeah, it looked like it was just going to go from bad to worse. At the end of the first stage, we'd managed to keep it clean, but we were 7 seconds back with that penalty, really just absolutely hammering our time into the second sector, nearly 4 minutes in, and now all of a sudden we're 11 seconds back. We're massively off the pace. We're just absolutely bleeding time, and I'm really thinking at this point there's nothing I can do but essentially go flat out. So that's what I did, and we just got ourselves back up in the lead within less than a second in terms of the gap. And then as we went into the next stage, disaster, we had our first rollover of the stage, taking a penalty, and all that hard work we'd done getting the time back, yeah, well, that had been completely wiped out. And at this point, I'm just feeling frustrated. I'm not knowing what to do. What can I do to get this lead back and get this rally won? So I was absolutely pushing, flying, throwing the car over the jumps, did not care about the damage, did not care about the bill, and well, we absolutely bottled our landing and flew the car into a huge roll, and had to get it underway again. Luckily not taking a penalty for going off the track or hitting any spectators, but again, more damage on the car and more time lost just through that single sector alone. 2 rollovers, and now 11 seconds back. Obviously a super long stage this one, so I knew we had a ton of time to really just make this time up, but I knew I had to push, and I knew I had to really keep it clean. any more mistakes and it could have massively cost us. So as we got onto the more straight sector where we can be as flat as we possibly can, it was time to throw the car around, getting the gap down to only 4 seconds at this point, knowing that a win can possibly come of this. So we just kept on throwing the car over as many jumps as we can, not even paying any notice to them dreaded bankings at this point. And all of a sudden, through the halfway point, we're 3 seconds up at the 11-minute point. So at this point I'm starting to feel good, but I know I cannot let off, and I know that a single more mistake and it could essentially mean rally over. After all the hard work I'd done through those 2 sectors, we did manage to survive as we went into the final sector not long to go. I know I just had to keep it nice and clean. We're obviously green in the last 3 sectors after those 2 terrible starting sectors and then the terrible 4th sector. So we were going around the last few corners. I didn't want to make a mistake. I'm trying to keep it as clean as possible, because any roll over here now with the gap that we had could spell disaster and mean that we will not win our first ever career rally. So it was all about just keeping it as good as possible and try and keep the car in one piece as we fly through this awfully tight stage. And honestly, this is where WRC excels, with just how tight and difficult these stages are. Honestly, in the snow I was dreading it, but I actually find myself having a ton of fun. We're just wiping the snow off the windscreen there. Not long to go. We're going to smash the front end up, have to get going again round the final corner and across the line for the power stage after nearly 17 grueling minutes and a ton of issues, rollovers and all that, penalties. Everything was against us. We should have not won this stage. Will it be enough? Well, let's go and find out. So overall, we did enough to absolutely win the stage by a long shot, 46 seconds to be exact, on that grueling last stage. And overall, we did manage to get the win by 52 seconds. Somehow, after dragging that poor little Ford Fiesta through the war, essentially, rolling it over, taking penalties, we finally managed to get the win just on pure pace and just absolutely going flat out. Although I was absolutely dreading Rally Sweden, I find myself having a ton of fun. Absolutely loved the snow driving in this car. It was just such an experience, and it was just super happy behind the wheel. When it was going well, it was going well. When it was going bad, it was going bad. And honestly, we're just within those few stages, and our first rally, I just felt every emotion going, and it just felt great. And that's what it's all about, the ups and downs, having them all in a single rally, from spinning, rolling, taking penalties to finally taking the win no matter what. Yeah, absolutely awesome experience. And honestly, this is where WRC Generations excels. Yes, it may not be the most polished rally game going, the graphics may not be absolutely perfect, the sound may not be absolutely top notch, but that kind of thrill of an official rally event, yeah, it's honestly a awesome feeling. And as you can see, we've got some nice points on the board and a nice healthy lead going into round 2. So that's going to be it for my first coverage of our career mode for WRC Generations. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Turn the notifications on for content each and every day. I'll be covering WRC Generations, well, for the whole game, I guess. I want to do a full career mode playthrough, working away through the ranks, going through the ups and downs of a rally career, and hopefully and finally ending up in those brand new Rally 1 hybrid rally cars. I absolutely cannot wait to bring you this content. I'll cover everything from the historic cars to the Rally 1. Yeah, you don't want to miss this for the next few months. With that being said, have an absolutely awesome day. Don't forget to join my Discord in the description down below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!